This is what changed. On the left, the old MCP. Every request tied to one server, one session, one fragile link. On the right, the new spec that shipped this week. Stateless, self-describing requests that can land on any server behind a plain load balancer. In the next 5 minutes, I'll walk through exactly what broke, what got hardened, and what you need to migrate before the 12-month clock runs out.
MCP just shipped the biggest spec update since the protocol launched. 500 million downloads a month, over 1 billion total across the TypeScript and Python SDKs. And on July 28th, the maintainers pushed a release that officially retires the way every MCP server has worked until now. If your server leans on sessions, this update changes it. Let's go through exactly what changed. Here's how MCP worked before. A client and server did an initialized handshake. Then the server handed back a session ID in an MCP-session-ID header. Every request after that had to land on the same server instance that held that session. That means sticky sessions, a shared session store, deep packet inspection at your gateway just to keep requests routed correctly. Fine for a prototype. A real scaling problem once you're running MCP servers behind a normal load balancer in production.
The headline change. MCP is now a stateless request-response protocol. No handshake, no session ID. Every request is self-describing. It carries its own protocol version and client identity right in the payload. There's an optional server discover call if a client wants capabilities up front, but it's not required. The result? Any request can land on any server instance behind a plain round-robin load balancer. No shared state, no sticky routing. Method and tool names now travel in 2 new HTTP headers, Mcp-Method and Mcp-Name. That means your gateway, your rate limiter, your WAF, can route and meter traffic by reading headers, not by parsing the JSON body of every request. That's a real performance and simplicity win for anyone running MCP infrastructure at scale. Old MCP needed a constantly open bidirectional stream for the server to ask the client something mid-call, a confirmation, a missing parameter. That's gone. Multi-round trip requests replace it. The server just returns input required, along with what it needs. The client answers and retries the same call with those answers attached. Same capability, elicitation, sampling, routes, none of the held open connection overhead. Tool lists, prompt lists, resource lists, they now carry a cache lifetime and a cache scope, so clients stop refetching the same catalog on every reconnect. And tasks, MCP's mechanism for long-running operations, moves out of the core spec entirely into its own official extension, alongside MCP apps and enterprise-managed authorization. Notifications move to a single subscription stream clients opt into per event type. Auth is where implementers spend most of their integration time, so this release tightens it. Authorization servers now return an issuer parameter per RFC 9207, closing a mix-up vulnerability between authorization servers. Client credentials are bound to the issuer that minted them, no reuse across servers. And dynamic client registration is formally deprecated in favor of client ID metadata documents. DCR still works, but it's on its way out. To be clear about the runway here, routes, sampling, and logging are deprecated, but keep working for at least 12 months. The legacy HTTP plus SSE transport gets the same year-long off-ramp. That's not an accident. This release also locks in a formal deprecation policy. 12 months minimum, every time, so you can plan an upgrade instead of reacting to a breaking change with no warning. If you're running an MCP server that depends on session state, or you're still on the HTTP plus SSE transport, this is your migration window. All 4 Tier 1 SDKs, TypeScript, Python, Go, C#, already speak 2026-0728, with Rust in beta. Frameworks are moving fast too. FastMCP is shipping 4.0 with native support, and enterprise-managed authorization,
The extension from my last video is now one of the officially locked-in extensions in this same framework, adopted by Anthropic, Microsoft, and Okta. This is MCP's most consequential release since Remote MCP launched. If you build on MCP at all, go check whether your server or client leans on the old session model. The maintainers gave you 12 months, but the sooner you migrate, the fewer surprises. Subscribe for more of these before they hit the mainstream feed. What's your MCP server's biggest sessions dependency? Tell me below.